Hey guys, Clark Korver here. Hope you guys are doing well. Talking about evangelism. So it's been a great journey through the spiritual disciplines. Um, what struck me in reading this chapter is that evangelism is expected of everybody. It's a mandate and a commission that Jesus gave. No ifs, ands, or buts. He expected this of his disciples. Right before he's about to leave, this is the last commission he gives us, is to go and make disciples of all nations, teaching everybody else what Jesus has taught us. And so it's what's interesting to me, especially as you read the first chapter post-gospel, Acts 1, he says, "You will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and in Judea, in Samaria, to the ends of the earth." And what struck me regarding that statement is that we are the ends of the earth. When the sovereign God said those words, he had us in mind. All the way across the ocean, hundreds of years later, the Mayflower is going to come across so that we might be here. And now it's our job to take that duty and that mandate, that privilege, to go and evangelize and tell other people about what God has done and who He is. Now, another interesting fact and something that we all have to ponder and think through is this is a mandate that's declared. Again, no ifs, ands, or buts, but the method in which it's done. Oftentimes you'll ask someone why they don't evangelize, and the quick responses are, "I don't know what to say," or it makes me very uncomfortable. These things are very true, but we have to understand how we're wired, and everyone's method is going to be different. While those are true, at a deeper level, I want to encourage you to think about this. What if deep down in our soul we realize that when we preach Christ, heaven and hell are at stake? Someone's soul's at stake. It comes with great risk, yet great reward. We ask ourselves, what is the sovereign God doing? But this is what He's instructed us to do. Sometimes we say, well, what if the person I'm talking to rejects me, or they reject the gospel? Donald Whitney, the author of this book that we're reading, he had a great line when he talked about that. He said, was Jesus an evangelistic failure when the rich young ruler walked away from Jesus and His message? Sad. See, the beauty of the mandate given to us by Jesus is that simply sharing the gospel is technically success, right? Another example Whitney gives is, view yourself as the U.S. postal worker. Our job is to accurately deliver the goods. The response to the delivery is not up to the postal worker, nor is that up to us. Our job is to faithfully preach the gospel, to scatter that seed, and let God do what God wants to do. So we're finding ways to evangelize, and again, everyone's method is different. What's yours? But we have to figure out ways to evangelize through both service and speech. Yet no matter, I do want to say a disclaimer with that, no matter how well you live out the gospel, sooner or later, the content of the gospel has to be shared in order for a person to become a disciple. Verbally, the content has to be shared. The example of Christianity saves nobody. Rather, it's the message of Christianity that contains the power of God in salvation, as Paul tells us in Romans 1. So here are a few questions I want you to ponder. Do you believe that God can use your words in the workplace, in your home, on the corner of the street, to save other people? Do you know the words of the gospel? If someone came up to you and said, "What is this gospel?" how would you answer that? Things that we talk about every day, day in, day out, but there's a lot of depth that needs to be sought after there. How would you answer that question? Now, because evangelism is a discipline, how will you plan for it? Now, one way I'll offer as an encouragement to you that I've learned and practiced this in my life is simply the grocery store and the weight room. I recently was talking to my wife and looking at our budget. I had thought that maybe it wouldn't be the best idea to continue going to the gym. I mean, it's a measly $10 or $12 a month, and I was talking to Bobby Jean. I said, maybe we should just save that money, over time invest that in our own weights. And she looked at me and said, "Are you serious? Clark, that is the place, that's a breeding ground for future Christians. You've established a relationship with these guys over 3 or 4 years now. And some of them are starting to come to church. Why would you give that up? That's worth an eternal investment." I was like, "Oh, I love you, honey," and that is so true. I'm using the gym as an intentional means of going and talking to people about Jesus. I go to the Stater Brothers, the grocery store, right? Now I'm getting to know the people's names working. Some of them are coming to Emmanuel now, 9 o'clock service, as a way to connect with them and invite them to the church and invite their kids to our preschool and a number of other events happening. And so I'm trying to use the surrounding environment and aspects of my rhythm and routine of life that I can infiltrate other people's lives and invite them into ours at Emmanuel. So the weight room, that's part of my routine. The grocery store, we all got to eat. We're going to go there. The gas station, think of the spots that you routinely go to. Can you invite someone to come join us there? Now, those questions that I asked you are not in any way intended to be degrading to you, but I hope that you'll ask those questions and it will be a reality check to examine your heart and find out why you enjoy evangelizing and how you go about doing it, what makes you fearful of evangelizing, because there is a correlation between the pursuit of godliness and a passion for Christ's message. The more you pursue Christ, as what he says, the more we're going to want to proclaim Christ. So God bless you. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this, and let's go out and evangelize.